Are you trying to improve your public speaking and you want to eliminate filler words? Words like and like may not only distract the listener, but they may also harm your credibility. People might not take you as seriously if you are using a lot of filler words when you are speaking. That is what we are tackling today. How can you either reduce or eliminate filler words when you are speaking or presenting? I'm going to share 3 tools and 2 techniques, along with a tip, something I've been using with my phone 2 minutes a day for the past month that I think might really help you to get better at this even faster. If we've never met before, my name is Kat, and I help people to stand out in virtual meetings and presentations. And being able to get your message across clearly and concisely is a superpower, and having filler words is going to interfere. One of the things I want to clarify before we move on is that I am specifically talking about words like and These are very common sounds that will interfere in your speech and your speaking pattern. There are other types of filler words that we might come to depend on, but let's walk before we run and let's focus on the most common ones. Filler words are a habit, and like any habit, this is going to take attention. This is going to take conscious effort on your part in order to get better at this. You can talk all you want and you can practice speaking every day, but if you're not paying attention and you're not being conscious to reduce the number of filler words you say, it's going to be a lot harder. So you really do want to make this something that you practice and that you are intentional about reducing. First, let's start off with the tools. And so when I say tools, I mean these are tools accessible to you to help you with this intentional practice. And the very first one is one that's pretty accessible to most of us because most of us have some sort of mobile device or something where we can do recordings. And yes, I do mean watch back your recordings. And I know most people would rather do anything else, but this will help you to get better faster if you watch regular recordings. When you watch these back, you can pay attention to common filler words that you might use when you are using these. I find context matters. So perhaps you use fewer filler words when you're presenting something, maybe something you know really well, or you're really comfortable with it. But when someone asks you a question, or maybe if you're not sure of something, maybe that's where more of them creep in to your speaking. So you are able to pay attention to this and look at this when you're watching back a recording. Something that I find helpful, because me just saying, watch recordings of yourself, you are almost, there's just almost no chance you're going to do it. So instead, I want to recommend a habit that I have developed over the past month or so, just over a month. And I'm going to show you my screen. This is something you can set up in only a few minutes, and every single day, practice speaking for about 2 minutes. So let's take a look at it. I have a folder in my reminders. So this is actually my phone, and you can see this is my reminders app. Now, I am on an iPhone. You might have a different device. You can check if you have a reminders app, or you can use your calendar. The main thing is a reminder that goes off once a day. In this case, I have 5. I just Monday to Friday. I take the weekend off. But what I have done is set up 5 different prompts, one for each day of the week, Monday to Friday, and it recurs every single week. Let's take a look if I were to add one for Saturday. You are going to think of questions someone might actually ask you. So yours are going to look different than mine. What is vocal coaching is probably not going to be on your list, but you could say, how do you do X? Maybe there's something that you are an expert in. I'm going to click on the little I for info. Let's schedule this for Saturday. And we are going to put this at a time of day that most days I might be able to answer it. So I've chosen noon. And I click on repeat and choose weekly. Now I have this recurring speaking prompt in my phone. When it goes off, the reminder goes off at noon, I see the question. What you can do is hold up your phone, press record on your camera app, and record your answer directly into the video. Yes, I realize this is probably going to make many of you cringe. However, this allows you to not only practice speaking, you're answering a question, it should not take very long, maybe 10, 20 seconds, but you will get better at being concise, being clear, and this is when you can consciously focus on reducing or eliminating your filler words. If you do choose to record it, because you could just reply, you could just see the question and practice speaking and practice reducing your filler words. If you record yourself, then you have this video evidence over time, and you can actually compare answering the same question a few weeks apart, and you'll see how quickly you are getting better at this. So this is something I use every day, and honestly, it has been so helpful. Even if you put aside filler words, practicing answering questions like this on a daily basis help you get so much better at being clear and specific and answering succinctly. And that, I think that's worth it. The next tool you can use, transcripts. Perhaps watching a recording makes you cringe or you really don't like to hear the sound of your voice. If you've ever seen a transcript of your speaking, you will know right away if you are using filler words. Whether this is software like Descript, where you record a video and it will pump out a transcript, you'll be able to see. I think Descript even highlights all of your filler words. But you could also use a social media app, record a draft of, say, an Instagram story, use the auto caption, and right away you will see these AI generated transcript, and you'll be able to see right away how many times am I using filler words. You don't have to publish it. The transcript means you can just read it back. You don't have to listen to it back. You'll be able to see very, very quickly how many times you're using this. I would treat it like a game and just try and get lower and lower and lower, reduce the number of times you use filler words every single time that you practice. Okay, the next one, use a partner. This is where you actually bring someone in to support you in a live setting. This could be in person, it might be virtual. What you are going to do is decide, how is this person going to flag that you are using filler words? I know that this might seem daunting, and I've experienced this firsthand. When I was working in university recruitment and we would practice speaking, we would have people actually flag every time you said a filler word. It would be something like raising their hand every time you said one, or holding up their fist and just counting every time you said a filler word. Is this nerve-wracking? Yeah, but it broke the habit much faster than if I was doing this on my own, because it makes you pay attention. This is where that conscious, intentional effort comes in, because you want to say what you need to say without adding filler words. There are other techniques for this, and you could play around and get creative with what's actually going to be effective for you. Because for some people, that might just cause way too much anxiety and not be effective. And that is not what we want. But recruiting a buddy, having someone work with you, is actually really powerful. And as a personal anecdote, when I was a teenager, I used to use like a lot. And every time I said it in front of my dad, he would say, well, is it like that or is it? It was so annoying, but it was really effective, because every time I spoke near my dad, I didn't want him to say that. And in order to do that, I had to stop using the word like. Do I recommend this as a parenting technique? I'm on the fence. It really did help me from a young age to start removing filler words, but wow, that was not popular. Not popular at all. Techniques. Let's get into techniques. Right now, so far, I have talked about tools you can use, recording, transcripts, a friend, but what are some actual approaches to reducing your filler words? The first one might sound strange. Close your mouth. Yet technically, if you don't open your mouth, you're not going to say a filler word. But what I mean in this case is between every sentence, close your mouth. Think about the next sentence that you want to say. And don't open your mouth until you know the sentence you want to say. Often we are using filler words because we are trying to think of the next thing we want to say. When we're thinking about it, and often you'll see people's eyes up looking in a direction, as they say, we're trying to fill the next thing. So by closing our mouth, thinking about the next sentence we're going to say, we are far more likely to be intentional and use fewer filler words, or maybe none at all. The added bonus of this technique is that it helps you breathe through your nose, which is actually better for your voice. The next one is solid airflow. Sometimes when people talk, it's really choppy with lots of breaks. If you have a tendency to break up your speech as you are talking or saying a sentence, there is a higher likelihood that you are going to fill those gaps with filler words. This doesn't mean that you can't pause. You probably should be pausing in your sentences, but if you're really choppy and taking a lot of pauses, you can see how that's very, very chunky. When we say solid airflow, I mean, as you say a sentence, you are exhaling. You should actually only be speaking as you are exhaling. So if we pause between, we think of what we're going to say, and the next sentence that we say comes out as a steady, solid airflow, we are going to use fewer filler words. So these are two approaches that you can use. These are things that I cover in my Elevate Your Voice live workshop. And these approaches may work well for you. They may not. There are lots of different ways that you can approach this. The other thing I want to say is to show yourself some grace. This is not a change that is going to happen overnight. And this is not necessarily an easy habit to break, especially if we're around people who are using those same filler words. I know when I'm around people who use like, I will start saying like. So be kind to yourself. However, please still do it. This is worth the effort. Being able to communicate clearly and get your message across, I mean, it just has such a better impact. And if you can start to reduce these, it really will help people to understand the message you are trying to convey, and ultimately, it will help you to stand out in virtual meetings and presentations.